Hey, friendly readers! Welcome back to Storytime. I, as always, am your ever and ally host, Story J. Now, as many stories as I've read in the past, how important it is to fight for the things that are important to you, it's just as important to be an ally to others. Which is why this episode is dedicated to our sisters in Storytime, starting with a story of a rising young star that discovers that she can do anything that she sets her mind to. Friendly readers, one of my all-time favorite stories from author Mary Hoffman, here is Amazing Grace.
Amazing Grace by Mary Hoffman and Caroline Bench. Grace was a girl who loved stories. She didn't mind if they were read to her, or told to her, or made up in her own head. She didn't care if they were in books, or movies, or out of Nana's long memory. Grace just loved stories. After she had heard them, and sometimes while they were still going on, Grace would act them out. And she always gave herself the most exciting part. Grace went into battle as Joan of Arc and wove a wicked web as Anansi the spider. She hid inside the wooden horse at the gates of Troy. She went exploring for lost kingdoms. She sailed the 7 seas with a peg leg and a parrot. She was Aladdin, rubbing his magic lamp to make the genie appear. And Mowgli in the backyard jungle. Most of all, Grace loved to act out adventure stories and fairy tales. When there was no one else around, Grace played all the parts herself. She set out to seek her fortune with no companion but her trusty cat and found a city with streets paved in gold. Sometimes she can get Ma and Nana to join in when they weren't too busy. Then she was Dr. Grace and their lives were in her hands. One day, Grace's teacher said they would do the play Peter Pan. Grace knew who she wanted to be. When she raised her hand, Raj said, "You can't be Peter. That's a boy's name." But Grace kept her hand up. "You can't be Peter Pan," whispered Natalie. "He isn't black." But Grace kept her hand up. "All right," said the teacher. "Lots of you want to be Peter Pan, so we'll have auditions next week to choose parts." She gave them words to learn. When Grace got home, she seemed sad. "What's the matter?" asked Ma. "Raj said I can't be Peter Pan because I'm a girl." "That just shows you what Raj knows," said Ma. "A girl can be Peter Pan if she wants to." Grace cheered up, then later remembered something else. "Natalie says I can't be Peter Pan because I'm black," she said. Ma looked angry, but before she could speak, Nana said, "It seems that Natalie is another one who don't know nothing. You can be anything you want, Grace, if you just put your mind to it." On Saturday, Nana told Grace they were going out. In the afternoon, they caught a bus and a train into town. Nana took Grace to a grand theater. The sign outside said, "Rosalie Wilkins in Romeo and Juliet and Sparkling Lights." "Are we going to a ballet, Nana?" asked Grace. "We are, honey. But first, I want you to look at this picture." Grace looked up and saw a beautiful young ballerina in a tutu. Above the dancer it said, "Stunning New Juliet." "That one is little Rosalie from back home in Trinidad," said Nana. "Her granny and me, we grew up together on the island. She's always asked me to do I want tickets to see Rosalie dance. So this time, I said yes." After the ballet, Grace played the part of Juliet, dancing around her room in her imaginary tutu. I can be anything I want, she thought. On Monday, the class met for auditions to choose who was best for each part. When it was Grace's turn to be Peter, she knew exactly what to do and all the words to say. She had been Peter Pan all weekend. She took a deep breath and imagined herself flying. When it was time to vote, the class chose Raj to be Captain Hook and Natalie to be Wendy. There was no doubt who would be Peter Pan. Everyone voted for Grace. "You are fantastic," whispered Natalie. The play was a big success, and Grace was an amazing Peter Pan. After it was all over, she said, "I feel as if I could fly all the way home." "You probably could," said Ma. "Yes," said Nana. "If Grace put her mind to it, she can do anything she wants."
Friendly readers, I am happy to introduce to you my good friend, September.
Hi, my name is September, and I'm going to be reading Pocketful of Colors, The Magical World of Mary Blair, Disney Artist Extraordinaire. Under a wide blue sky, on a red dirt road, in a lemon yellow house, there lived a little girl named Mary. Other children collected marbles or dolls, but Mary collected colors of every shade and every hue. One day, Mary's parents announced they were moving out west. As she waved goodbye to the yellow house, Mary tucked her friend Lemon in her pocket. Mary would miss the happy home, but she had new colors to collect. Driving across the sun-bleached desert, Mary spied russet, taupe, and sienna. When she arrived in California, she glimpsed the azure ocean and found groves of golden fruit dripping from viridian trees. In the city, she discovered steel-gray buildings and mauve-tinted skies. Mary opened her sketchbook. She mixed her paints. She would save these shades for just the right time. When she was older, Mary went to art school. She met Lee. He showed her rosy pink and blushing red. She kept those colors in her heart. Together, Mary and Lee painted rainbows. But it was the Great Depression, and people were poor. No one was buying rainbows, except for one man. Mary landed a job at Walt Disney Studios, one of the first women ever to be hired. Finally, a place for her colors to run and dance and play as they pleased. But on the first day of work, the men in charge didn't want to talk about cerulean or celadon or cerise. They were only interested in black and white. Mary was told to follow the rules. She tried, but her colors were too vivid, too wild. When Mary turned in her work, all of her ideas were rejected. Twinkling emerald skies, the men turned them blue. Magenta horses that could fly, the men made them brown and put them in the stables. Peach giraffes with tangerine spots, her bosses just shook their heads. They didn't know what to make of her art. Walt, the man who owned the company, did. He loved her colors so much, he asked Mary to join him on a trip to South America to meet some new ones. Mary delighted in the colors of Brazil, Argentina, and Peru. She worked hard to capture the vibrant scenery. When it was time to go home, Mary's bags burst with fuchsia, teal, aquamarine, indigo, lime green, and banana yellow. After Mary returned to Disney, her concept art for the studio's upcoming films grew even more adventurous. So she drew upon the eye-popping shade she'd observed in South America. Cinderella, she needed a teal pumpkin carriage. The caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland could only be aquamarine, and the mermaids in Peter Pan just simply had to be lime green. This time, some of Mary's ideas were accepted, but most of her art was still considered too modern, too abstract, and just not right. Mary's colors encouraged her to leave the men with their black lines and strict rules. So she did. Mary quickly found new work designing advertisements, illustrating picture books for children, and creating sets for plays and television commercials. She enjoyed the freedom of these new jobs. But Mary missed Walt. Then one day, out of the blue, her phone rang, and it was Walt. "Mary, I have a project for you. I need your wild and beautiful colors." His voice boomed. Walt explained his idea to build a magical ride that would teach people about cultures from all around the world. The ride had to be full of color, which meant there was only one person for the job. "Mary, you know about colors I've never even heard of before." Mary smiled, and then she frowned as she remembered the rules and the lines and the men in charge who didn't understand her colors or her style of art. There was only one way to answer. "Yes," said Mary, and her yes came with a condition. This time, Mary wanted to be in charge. Walt welcomed her aboard. Mary's paint seemed to sparkle when she hung up the phone. She had never been to places like China or Morocco or Kathmandu, but her colors had. Sitting down to work, she squeezed out dabs of paint. Lemon yellow, aquamarine, and azure. Mauve and tangerine, russet, sienna, and steel gray, celadon, cerulean, cerise, magenta, teal, indigo, and emerald shined from her palette. And when she picked up her brush, the colors Mary had so carefully collected all of her life took her on a trip around the globe. When the work was done and the ride opened, people gasped in awe. It's a Small World was a sensation. When it was Mary's turn to take the ride, she leaned back in the boat and let the colors wash over her. It was a world of laughter, a world of smiles, and color, color, color everywhere. This at last was Mary's world. The end.
She's the first African-American female principal dancer with the American Ballet Theater. Let's take a minute or two to talk about dance prodigy Misty Copeland. Born in September 1982 in Kansas City, Missouri, Misty grew up with her 5 siblings and her single mother. When she was 7 years old, Misty saw the movie Nadia on television, and the title performer, Nadia Comanche, immediately became Copeland's new role model. Her family moved to San Pedro where her coach saw Misty's talent. It was there where she met dance instructor Cynthia Bradley, who recognized Copeland's natural ability and later moved in with the family when the dance instruction became more intensive. Misty was literally dancing professionally within a year for first class. At age 15, Copeland won first prize in the Los Angeles Music Center Spotlight Award and received a full scholarship for the San Francisco Ballet. Due to a custody battle for Misty between the Copelands and the Bradleys, Misty moved back to San Pedro where she could continue studying ballet at the Larson Ballet Theater. But by 2000, Misty Copeland would join the American Ballet Theater Studio Company, and in 2001, she became a member of the ABT's Corps de Ballet, the only African-American woman in a group of 80 dancers. Even though she was challenged by racial and physical prejudice, Copeland continued to fight and climb the ranks by virtue in her phenomenal talent. In 2007, she became the company's first African-American female soloist in 2 decades. In June 2015, Copeland became the first African-American woman to be promoted to principal ballerina in ABT's 75-year history. Since then, Misty Copeland has gone on to create roles for the stage, as well as being a noted celebrity spokesperson and an author of a New York Times bestseller. Copeland was even on the cover of Time magazine after being named one of the 100 most influential people in the world. Her life has been made into a movie twice, and she even toured as a dancer for Prince. Whether it's performing as principal ballerina or breaking barriers as a Black artist, Misty Copeland broke the standards and continues to break standards for century-long perceptions and continues to inspire millions of little girls of color that you can truly be anything you set your mind to be, and that includes being unapologetically gifted. I am Briar, and that was your 2-minute Superwoman in History lesson.
And let's see what Erika Moondoodlez is up to.
Hi Story J. Hi friends. Erika Moondoodlez here with another drawing tutorial for you. In celebration of Women's History Month, I thought it would be fun to do a piece inspired by Yayoi Kusama. She is known for her use of bold colors and polka dots. The piece we will be recreating is called Flowers. Grab whatever drawing materials you have and let's get started. To get started, around the center of your paper just a little bit higher, and try to make this nice and big because we want this flower to take up a lot of the space of this picture. We're going to do a sideways oval, nice and big right about here. Next, we're gonna do some petals. Now, the petals we want to kind of be all different sizes, and petals are very much kind of like a rainbow arch, that really a long rainbow arch. So we'll start here, and you kind of loop upwards, almost like you're making a circle, and you'll come back in and connect to the center part. So let's get started right about here on the left side. Now start your long rainbow arch, loop it back around, and connect to the side. Let's make them all different sizes. Let's make this next one a little bit smaller and taller. The next one, let's even give a little bit of a different shape and do a little curve there at the bottom. Just kind of go around. You can make this look however you want. That's the wonderful thing about art. You can give your own spin. I'm just kind of going around. I'm going to do another small one here, another little one here, and one more with a little whoop whoop curve. Next, let's draw a swirly stem. Start right about here, kind of in the center. Come down, swirl back up, almost again like you're making a circle, and touch the first line that you started. Now, come about an inch away from the first line you created and follow that same curve that you just made. Loop around, come back, and touch that first line that you made. Now, take your marker and right about where you left off, kind of trace it down without making a mark on your paper, and loop this back down to create your stem. Now do the same thing. Place your marker where you left off, trace it over the line without making a mark, see about where it falls, and now follow that line straight down. Now let's give it a couple petals. The petals are going to look like this. You're going to do a nice big kind of wavy arch upwards, and when you come down, just kind of do some squigglies, make it fun, and then you're going to come down and connect it to the base of the stem. Come down here to the base of the stem, do a kind of whoop wave up to the top, and as we come down, do a bunch of squigglies. Okay, let's do one more flower. Let's do it right about here. This one we're going to make super duper squiggly. So come out and just do a bunch of squiggles. Do kind of like a little rainbow arch here at the top, and then come down and do a bunch more squigglies and connect it to the bottom. This is our outline. And now comes the fun part where we really get to get into Kusama's style. She loved to do everything covered in polka dots. So you'll see I have here some colors of markers on my side, and I'm choosing to use markers because making polka dots can kind of take a little bit of a long time. So markers will give you a little bit of a quicker result, and they also have really vibrant colors, which is something that is very true to Kusama's style. I'm going to be doing the petals in different pinks, the center with brown, and this will be green, and I'm going to be doing my background in blues. However, you can choose whatever colors you want. Just cover everything in polka dots. You want to do it in all different sizes, different shapes, and make sure that you're filling the whole space here. Right. I'm so excited to see what you guys create and what colors you use. Okay friends, here is my finished piece. You will see that I also did polka dots all throughout the background, and you'll also notice that I used pretty big polka dots just so this didn't take too long. In all, it probably took me about 3 to 4 minutes to finish it. I really encourage you to put your own spin on this piece. Use different colors, make it rainbow, do whatever you want. That's what makes art so beautiful and unique, because it has a little bit of you in it. I hope you enjoyed this drawing tutorial. As always, have a beautiful day.
And now a little blast from the past. Here is one of my favorite interviews from then 14-year-old animator. Here is Kalia Love Jones. I want to introduce you to someone who I think is going to be a fantastic and already is a phenomenal artist. Take a look at this.
We've got that power. We've got that power. We've got that power.
This artist has created her first animated short that is already in competition in festivals with other artists and animators that are already competing for the Oscars. And by the way, I think I should mention, she's all of 14 years old. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, allow me to introduce you to Miss Kalia Jones. Nice to meet you, Kalia, and welcome to Storytime. Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
So Kalia, can you tell me, what is your favorite cartoon or movie or TV show to relax with?
I think my favorite cartoon has to be Adventure Time.
That's a good one.
I watched it when it was first coming on, and I've just watched it for a while. I've been rewatching it recently.
So now you have made an incredible movie. Can you tell us what it is?
The Power of Hope is a animated short film, and it tells the story of a young girl who wants to become an architect, but as she's striving to reach her goal, she's being faced with many obstacles, and The Power of Hope tells the story of the main character overcoming all those obstacles getting in her way.
Who would you say is your favorite filmmaker or artist?
I think I have a lot of favorite people. There a lot of inspirations to me. My inspirations, they actually, at the end of The Power of Hope, in the credits, there's a whole collage of all the people who inspired me.
It's a great idea.
I think my favorite has to be Ava DuVernay. She's a powerful Black filmmaker, and just my main inspiration is just Michelle Obama.
Of course, that's awesome. So would you say then that Ava DuVernay was the one who inspired you to do this?
I've always wanted to be a filmmaker, and she was one of the main inspirations to me. There's a lot of inspirations, people who inspired me. I was inspired by many people to make this film.
That's amazing. How did you make the movie?
First, I had to come up with the idea, what I had to get a vision into my head of what I wanted the movie to look like, or what I wanted it to be. So first, I had to just think of a character and write a story. And once I had the whole idea in my head, we went out to find a crew, and that was probably the hardest part. We don't know anyone in the film industry, so finding a crew was really hard. We would go to colleges and talk to people, ask them, and send out emails, and not a lot of people.
Really? You were on it. God, that's amazing, man. Most kids, maybe they'll make a lemonade stand. You're making your own movies and making your own animated movies. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Did you run into any unexpected obstacles along the way?
I think one of the main obstacles was just finding people, a crew, because we didn't know anyone in the industry. So finding people to work who wanted to work on the movie was just very hard. Yeah, we would wait outside classrooms and send emails. But finally we found a crew, and the movie just came together after that.
Even when you didn't have everything, you still went out, you still used your own money, you still used your own initiative, and you were like, I'm getting this done, I'm gonna get a crew. You're just blowing my mind right now. So just know that you're my personal hero right now. So thank you very much for doing this. This is awesome. What was Michelle Obama's part in this?
She's a huge inspiration to me. She has just a huge effect on so many people, and I wanted to use her speech because I loved the message in the speech. Yeah. And she has such a huge effect on a lot of people, and I wanted to be able to have an effect on people the same way.
You're already doing it. I hope you know that. I would say you want to be a leader like her, but I'm just going to say you already are there because you're already leading. And last question, if you had any advice for future young filmmakers, artists, athletes, or anything, especially young girls of color, what would it be?
I think my advice would be just don't give up. No matter what is getting in your way, be persistent and just be hopeful and confident in yourself and your ability, and just don't let anything get you down. And you can, if you work hard enough, you can reach your goals.
That's awesome. So Kalia, thank you so much for doing this. I can't tell you how much I'm honored. You just made my day. You just made my year, because this is just amazing to meet someone so young and so incredibly talented and has all her stuff together. And you're going to be going places, girl. That's all I can tell you. So thank you so much for doing this. I'm honored to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
So friendly readers, as always, I hope you've had just as good a time as I've had. Normally right about here, I tell you what to be. This time I think I know somebody who can wrap things up a little better.
Today, everyone's eyes are on us as we rise. In this hour, it is our duty to find the brave beauty in rooting for other women, so they too know we are not victims. We are victors, the greatest predictors of progress. We press for change. A new dawn drawn into the open by women whose silence is broken. We push on and act on our responsibility to bring visibility to the most vulnerable, to bring freedom to those who didn't have a choice, to bring volume to those who are using their voice. We clear a woman's way. We don't fear the day she steps into the light, because we are with her every step of the fight. It is her strength, her story, and her spirit which inspires other vital voices to speak up when they hear it. So let it be said that light will be shed when our world is led by leaders ahead of the headlines, the voices who were first on the front line, these women who stand up, knowing the wind not by where it is, but where it is blowing, leading not from where the world is, but where change is going. We all leap forward when one woman tries, who she defies with her rallying cries. Here lies, but does not rest, the best of tested women who call us all to rise. Speaking the truth in this finest hour, that to their own power, every single woman is entitled. But it's how we empower others that makes women's voices so vital.
So friendly readers, I'll see you next time.
Hey fellow YouTubers, if you like what you see, please hit like and subscribe. And if you want to see more, just click on the button where you can donate and be a paying contributor, where you can see more things like read alouds, drawing tutorials, virtual field trips, cartoons, and more. See more at StoryJ Storytime, and I'll see you next time.